the New Testament or the scriptural languages. We usually say the Bible was written in Hebrew and Greek. Now, the Old Testament is actually Hebrew, the New Testament is actually Greek, but it was just in a few portions, I think few verses of scripture in both in the Old Testament and the New Testament that Aramaic appears. The Old Testament and New Testament, it was just a fraction, a little part that Aramaic actually appeared. For instance, in the New Testament, when Jesus said, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, meaning, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? That was actually Aramaic, not Greek. In Romans chapter 8, verse 15, when scripture says, we have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, or the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. Now, the word Abba there is an Aramaic word. The word Abba there is not a Greek word. The word Abba is an Aramaic word. So it was just few portions of scriptures, both in the Old and New Testament, that Aramaic appeared. But then, my emphasis is on the New Testament language. Now, the New Testament language was not written in classical Greek. It was written in Koine Greek. What is classical Greek? What do I mean by classical Greek? Classical Greek is a high level of Greek language, the mainstream Greek language that was used by the Greek elite, that was used by philosophers like Plato, like Socrates, like Plato, and like Aristotle. So it was the mainstream Greek language that was used by the elites, the philosophers, and the high-minded people of those times. So the scripture was written in Koine Greek, not in classical Greek. Now, what is Koine Greek? Koine Greek is the simple version of classical Greek. It is the simplified version of classical Greek. Now, why was the New Testament written in classical Greek? Why was the New Testament written in Koine Greek? The New Testament was written in Koine Greek in order that everybody would be able to relate. Both market people, traders, all class of people in the society would be able to relate. That's why the New Testament was written in Koine Greek and not classical Greek. If the New Testament was written in classical Greek, your New Testament Bible will be sounding like a Shakespearean literature. It will be sounding like a literature written by Shakespeare, and it will be understood only by a few. That's why it was written in Koine Greek, in order for it to be relatable to every class of persons. So again, I say the difference between Koine Greek and classical Greek is that classical Greek is for the elite. Classical Greek is for the high-minded people, for philosophers, and all of that. Why Koine Greek is for all class of persons in the society. So that's why the New Testament was written in Koine Greek and not classical Greek, in order that every class of persons in the society will be able to relate. Yes, and so that our New Testament Bible will not be sounding like a Shakespearean literature. God bless you.